Welcome to the most serious podcast. And today I have a man who has the potential to take this podcast or take anyone's show, take anyone's public image to the next level. And that's why we have Sahil from Level Up. Welcome, Sahil. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Thank you so much, Ripudavan, for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Do you start with whenever you are like giving intros at a party or whenever you are meeting friends or friends? How do you introduce yourself?
I would say that I'm the person who makes entrepreneurs famous.
Hmm. You make entrepreneurs famous. That's very simple, but there's more to it.
100%, 100%.
What
If I
entrepreneurs do you make famous? Why do you make entrepreneurs famous? Let's start with that.
I would say building a personal brand in this digital era is so important because people relate with people and not products or logos or businesses, right? So that's why having your personal brand is so important. And your personal brand is, everything, the way you walk, the way you talk to people, how you present yourself, how your social media is, everything is your personal brand. And I don't believe in, having like physical cards anymore because these days people are, looking you up on Google, looking you up on your social media channel. So that's
Yeah.
why you have a power of personal brand. So you can leverage it to grow your, business that you have.
So Sahil, I always think of having this conversation with my friends, and I am always the one who's anchoring or who is just
Mhm.
very assertive on building this personal brand. And
Right.
sometimes even I don't understand what it entails, but I would want you to break it down for the common folk on what are they missing out on when they don't build a personal brand or don't start building a personal brand from now.
Right. I would say before we start with, getting into personal brand, your why has to be really important. Like, why do you want to build a personal brand?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say some people want to, crack a great job at a company. They want to work with a Fortune 500 company. Some people want to become a famous podcaster like you. Okay. Some people want to become a public speaker like me. Some people want to leverage their personal brand to, close more deals in their businesses. So first, your why has to be really important.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, why do you want to build your personal brand? Because it's going to take a lot of time and energy. Because if your why is not strong, then you would eventually give up halfway. So find out your why. Why do you want to build your personal brand? And then comes the how part.
Hmm. And have you personally seen cases of where the why is not as strong or
Mm.
the person you're trying to build a personal brand for, where the reason is not so genuine or just not as airtight as you want it to be? That's why you face challenges in the how of building their personal brand.
Right, right. Yeah, that happens, I would say. But honestly, with me, I've had the pleasure to work with like top 1% people. Like we recently worked with Robert Kiyosaki. We have worked with top-notch people, in the industry like Beer Biceps, Finance with Sharon. So
Yeah.
for me, it has been a great experience. But eventually, people who do not have a specific goal behind building their personal brand, or I would say just anything in life, if you start for the wrong reasons and if your why is not strong, then you would eventually give up. So you have to be sure
Hmm.
about the why part.
And what exactly entails when you say personal brand and you built a personal brand for these folks? Okay, so what actually do you mean by that?
So I would say that building a personal brand, it's all about your social media presence, even your offline presence. So our goal when we work with individuals or entrepreneurs who wanna, grow their online presence is to get them featured in top 10 media outlets. Let's say if someone wants to be on Forbes, Entrepreneur, these magazines, or if someone wants to be on podcasts like these, like we are talking right now, or if someone wants to be on billboards, print magazines, want to do speaking engagements, let's say they want to be speaking on TEDx, Josh Talks, or doing media panel discussions, keynote speeches. So that's what we do, to build your personal brand. Because personal brand is something that, you have to do organically. It's not like marketing that you pay dollars to, a platform and then you get the reach. It's not like that. Everything we do, it's based on the connections that we have. It's earned. So that's why, it's so powerful because this is not something that you can buy off, online or buy from a sub company. You have to put in efforts.
Hmm. So, Sahil, I think a question pops up into my head, which is from, I would say, the very Indian common folk when they hear something like this. Is if you say you put people on billboards, you say you put people on radio, print, and all.
Mhm.
If I have enough money, Can anyone in India like get featured on billboards? Is it
Yeah,
always a matter of money?
it is a matter of money as well, but I would say if you are putting money and if you're not able to leverage it, so
Hmm.
we do like I can get anyone, whatever they want. Being a PR agency, I have like a lot of connections, but I always recommend my clients that you start off small. Okay, like you want to be on Forbes 30 under 30, I could do that. But I always recommend my clients, let's start from small. Let's get you that, taste of media. Let's start from the smaller media outlets first. Let's get you on smaller podcasts first, like which is all earned through the
Yeah.
connections that we have. And then we build it up your way organically to the top. But if
Hmm.
someone wants to do that, I mean, of course, there are options and money can, of course, buy you things.
So I've always wondered, like growing up, I think this was definitely the case with most people, that you consider things like Forbes, or you consider things like which are like highly appreciated, outlets of recognition. So you
Mhm.
consider them as, very value based metric assignment. But how true is that, and how true is it just connections, and how much of it is affluence?
I would say most of it is true, of course, but there are cases, where it's paid as well. But that all is visible, like I talked about the same thing on my last podcast as well. So you have to really like deep down and see it, like if you think the person has grown organically, if they have been on smaller things first and then they eventually made it to the top, that builds more of an authority. If you
Yeah.
overnight success, you are like you're able to catch it instantly, right?
Hmm.
A lot of it, like most people make it organically as well, and I think that's the way to go about it. That's how you become an authentic person. But
Hmm.
you make it your way directly to the top without doing these small little things, without hustling your way to the top. Like I don't think it makes sense.
And how do you manage? Because I'm sure PR is something in which you have to be 24 hours on. Like you can't miss any, major headline regarding your client, or you can't miss
Right.
anything, any activity that they did, and
Mhm.
you are supposed to polish that. So how do you keep track of that? Like, what exactly is the logistic process of being constantly updated on your client's public profile?
Right. So there are multiple ways to do this. First of all, we keep track of the client's industry. So we work with a lot of clients in the real estate market, I would say, like Robert Kiyosaki we have worked with. We work with like the top guy who is running the biggest property training company in the UK. We work with the commissioner of North Village, Miami, who is also a real estate guy, top 1% producer in Compass. So we constantly, look up what's trending in the market, what topics, media is talking about. So you have to stay on top of news. So we have people in our team like content strategists, PR strategists who are always looking up what's happening. Other than
Hmm.
that, we also stay very well connected with the clients because we are not the experts at what they do. Like, of course, they know better than us. Our goal is to make those story angles, make it in a storytelling way so that more people are inclined to read that piece. So we very well stay connected with the clients, like weekly or bi-weekly. Sometimes we have interviews with the clients. Based on those interviews, we find out, okay, what new is happening in their business or what new is happening in their specific market, and then we craft compelling story angles and then pitch it to the connections that we have. So that's how it works.
That's very interesting. I think it's very loyal, like in also regards. Like you are so close to the client, and you are constantly, kind of keeping a track of social activities and how to maintain that persona outside of the camera. So I think it's very lawyer like in nature, because you are, the client can't ever lie to you, or they need
Right.
you on their side always to have that image, which
Yes,
is
yes.
very interesting. Yeah. So
We know all the ins and outs of clients' business, how things work. We have clients who have been working with us, ever since they got started. We got started like almost 4 years back. So we know everything, from where they are, whether it's the negative part, it's the positive part. We know everything, and we know what to showcase
sure.
and what to.
Yeah. So what you've got, you are a person who's, man of connects, and I'm sure you've got, people like Robert Kiyosaki on your phone. That's crazy. But what do you think, who are you the most proudest on? Which contact that you'll have in your contact list, which you feel the most proudest on?
Um, I think Kiyosaki is the top one. I don't have his direct contact. I'm connected with his team, of course. So
Yeah.
that's the best, I would say, campaign that I've worked on in the last 4 years. So this opportunity came to me actually. You dream of working with such top level individuals and
Yeah.
you reach out to people, right? But I think what you are seeking is also seeking you. Okay.
Hmm.
As you said, you reach out to individuals for, inviting them as a guest on your show. But then when opportunities come to you, I used to read this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, when I was, young. This was probably the first book I read. And
Hmm.
at that stage, or even until last year, I never thought that their team would approach me to take care of their PR, right?
Hmm.
So they had an event in India, which was Growth Summit 2023 in Mumbai, and we took care of entire PR. We got that guy over 10 million plus impressions. We got them couple of podcast placements, television interviews. We had media who came to physically interview him, right? So that was the best experience of my life. And I would say that's the most proudest I am of. Whenever I'm, closing any deals, I'm like, hey, I've worked with Kiyosaki, and that builds instant authority and people are more inclined to work with me because I'm connected with top level individuals. It instantly shows trust and credibility that this guy is legit
Yeah.
and he's worked with
That's very correct. Honestly, I think that's such a validation. And that alone probably outdoes all of your marketing campaigns that you do outside of, let's say for brand promotion. Because you
right.
have a certification, kind of, you have a, experience under your belt of such high regard that it makes easier for you to navigate those conversations. And I'm sure
Right.
like it would be different because you have clients outside of India as well. But I want
Mhm.
to understand how different is media and PR outside of India and inside of India. Like, what are the stark differences that you observe?
I would say it's almost similar. It's not like so difficult in terms of, it's all the same processes that go. You pitch people over here, you pitch outlets in the US. It's almost similar. I think the major difference that I have seen is not in the media sector, it's in the client sector. So
Yeah,
how the customer market, the client market is in India versus the market in US. So that's why we mostly work with clients in the US.
and that market is bigger, you say?
Market is bigger, of course, in US, but like I would say people in India are very price sensitive. It's a very price sensitive
Yeah.
market.
And I think I'm sure like you would get all of these embarrassing replies all the time that, it's just एक podcast ही करना है या फिर it's just a
Right,
print, it's just that. Why are you charging so much for this?
right,
I'm
right.
sure you would get that all the time.
Yes, yes. I don't think people in India as of now they understand the value of PR, but people in foreign they recognize how valuable it is because PR is not something that you can buy, right? You can buy advertisement on different social media platforms, but when I am getting you these earned media opportunities, I'm getting you into press, podcast, television interviews. It's all earned, right? So that sets you as an authority in the market because
Yeah.
you start doing marketing campaigns, people are eventually start gonna look you up on your social media. They will search you on Google, right? And if they don't see anything, which is not earned, like there will be less chances that your ads are going to convert. So that's
Yeah.
why being your brand is so important. And PR and marketing are two verticals, I think, that go hand in hand. So you have to focus on both.
And do you think that this front that most celebrities have, okay,
Mhm.
how different in your experience have you observed their personal lives from their professional lives? Because it's always a very polished picture once you see it from the outside, and it always seems like they've got their life together. But do you,
Mhm.
as a person who's so intimately connected with their teams and them, so do you
Mhm.
see those human like errors or human like challenges them
Mhm.
facing?
Right. I think social media, like a lot of people, especially, they do not showcase like the downside or the failures that they're getting in life, which I personally think that you should, like people are able to connect with you when they're able to see both the contrasting pictures, right? When you are succeeding, when you are failing, you have to be very, I would say, authentic and transparent.
Hmm.
A lot of people, I would say, on social media hide those parts, which eventually makes it less relatable. And it's like I would say normal people are not able to relate with it. So we always recommend that you share on it and it's fine. People would be able to more connect with you on a deeper level.
Hmm. That's an interesting one again because I think it's you are kind of trying to. So I think in your case, So what
Mhm.
you're doing with clients is just trying to get their life as movie like as it can. So like they have to have like proper appearances at all times, and
Yeah,
their narrative should always be pro the audience. And
exactly.
this brings me to the question of how effective do you think narrative shaping is? Like, let's say truth is one thing and
Mm,
X event happened, but
mm,
now the PR team is responsible for making sure that it portrays the person or your client in a positive light. So, do
mhm.
you think, like, with good tools, with experts at PR, you can turn a situation which is an absolute shit show for the client into something, which is of positive light?
Um, I don't think I've worked on any such thing. We, whenever, I'm signing up clients, like on the discovery call, like the first questions that we ask, like, do you have anything media worthy? And if we feel like, they don't have anything media worthy, like nothing that they do is what media would be interested in, like we do not like get them on a second call.
Hmm.
If they have something, which is at least talkable, then we do that. But if nothing is happening, I mean, in that case, we wouldn't take them on.
That's a good qualification, I'm sure, because I think this is something which you would have developed, like it's my assumption, which you would have developed post working with American clients. Because I've seen this way in the US that they have a qualification metric on who do they qualify as their customers. And in
Right.
India, we've just had that business philosophy so twisted that everybody who comes on board is just like a customer and is just got to you. I don't
Right.
think that's necessarily the case. You should
Mhm.
very much so qualify your customers and try to, just all. I think that can only happen in a premium segment, like the segment that you work
Exactly.
in which you have premium clients and you don't have a price sensitive, cap on qualification.
Exactly. Right, right, right.
But in
So
India, I think, yeah, I think that is challenging for you.
yes, because when I initially started, like I used to take on any client,
Yeah.
who was interested, I used to take them on. And eventually I find out that, I'm not able to give them the best results because they don't have anything to good talk about. And then it becomes difficult for me, right? And they have bigger expectations, which sometimes you're not able to deliver on, right? So that's why we started to building qualification process, a filtering out process, and find out like who our target segment is. And now we only work with those specific people that we are really sure about we can help.
Hmm.
And these people wouldn't actually care about the price as well. Like you pitch them anything and they are fine, as long as you can see that, you get giving them the value that they need.
So, Sahil, do you ever think about looking into or getting this into at an organization level? So, I'm sure like organizations also have PR, right? Or do they?
Yes, yes, there are a lot of companies who do corporate PRs,
Yeah.
crisis management. We personally mostly work with individuals right now, and I think this market is still has a lot of potential. So I
Hmm.
first want to focus on this because it's working really well. We have already built a lot of reputation, in this industry working
Yeah.
with 1% people. So I would first scale this up before launching other things.
Yeah. That
So I
makes
want to
sense.
be like, I would say I want to be like greatest PR firm for top 1% entrepreneurs. This is my, you can say micro goal for the next few years. And then once we have already, reached at a certain level, then we might think of expanding more.
Simple and solid, man. Two words. You've got your fundamentals absolutely correct. So, what I want to follow up on is something that you said on the previous reply, which is you qualify your clients based off their media worthiness, even
Mm,
if, yeah, let's say that's a word. So, what exactly is media worthy? Like, how do you know if something is media worthy?
mhm. Right. So we find out first of all, what's the story about the brand. Okay, like if they are solving any specific problem, why they are the best person to solve it? They must have any certain background in it, or they must have faced that problem themselves. So our goal is to find out the brand story, where they come from and why they are the best solution, and then we also try to find out what's different about them. Like there are a lot of people who are already doing same things in the market. What are they trying to do different? So I would say these are the most important questions that we ask them. And then if there's anything that they want to share, we get that. And based on these things, we see what's happening in the media industry, what people, media journalists want to know about. And then our goal is to mutually make them, connected. like what the client wants to talk about, what their product is about, and then what media is looking for. And based on
Hmm.
that, we create compelling story angles and then we pitch it.
That's very interesting. I
Mhm.
want to ask this though, that what led you to all of this? Like, what realization point you had that you realize, okay, stop all of that which I've been doing, and now let me focus or try getting into
Yeah,
something like this. Yeah.
it's been a long journey for me. Like I have done a lot of things in my life. I did mechanical engineering. I built a satellite with NASA sponsored competition, built supercars, robots. And then, I found out that this is not something I really enjoy. I'm more of a people's person. I like to, network with people. I just don't like to sit on my computer, design things, or, work on projects. That was not me.
Yeah.
Then I started exploring more. I thought of doing different things. I started introspecting. And during my college, I was really good at leading events. I was participating in all the events that were happening. I was leading those, whether it's a college fest or any business competition, or whether there's any society in college. I used to be the leading member of those. So that
Okay.
really helped me build leadership qualities in me. Okay. And then I also, in my college time, I launched my first startup because I had these leadership qualities. So I thought, let's leverage these leadership qualities and launch a startup. So that startup was about renting things. So that was called takens.com. And on my platform, let's say, you have anything that you want to put on rent, you go to my platform, you put it on rent, and then there's any XYZ person who wants that thing on rent. So they could rent it. So that I did for like a couple of years, during the end years of my college. I also tried to pitch people, investors to give me funding. But at that stage, I had no experience. I was pretty new to the entrepreneurship world. So nobody wanted to take a bet on me. So
Yeah.
I had to give up because especially, in product-based businesses, you have to have funding, right? Because if you do not have funding, you won't be able to scale it. So
Yeah.
that's why I had to shut it down. And then again, I started exploring of more things that I want to do. So I tried acting also. And then I eventually went into singing. So you can see, I have like a keys,
Yeah. Keyboard. Yeah.
right? So I have a keyboard with me. I used to play guitar as well. So I had a whole band. So I built a band. I started learning for a couple of years. Once I got a little confident, like I started performing in cafes, bars, weddings, concerts. Initially, I did it for free. I had to build my portfolio, right? So I did free performances. I started building my portfolio, and then slowly and slowly we started getting some paid gigs too. So everything
Hmm.
was going well. I was on my way to becoming a rock star, you can say. That's what I imagined. And then back in 2020, COVID hit, so everything was back to zero for me. Okay. So at that moment, again, I failed badly because even at college, I got like no good placements. I got an
Yeah.
internship.
Yeah.
Then I failed into my startup as well. And then this music thing also failed so badly after trying couple of. So everything was, going wrong. Nothing was working out for me. So during that COVID period, I thought, now what can I do with the time that I have? So I was free. I wanted to leverage that time as well. Most people were just sitting and waiting for COVID to recover and things getting back. But I'm a very relentless person. I just can't sit idle. I need something to do. So at that moment I partnered with FNP and I used to do celebrity wishes for them. So people would send requests for like sing this song on a guitar and say this message. You must have seen it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen them. Yeah.
right. So I used to record those celebrity wishes. I used to get 250 per wish. So I used to record like a dozen of them a day, and that's what I was doing
And
initially.
damn, man, that's crazy. And then,
Right. So that I did mostly. So today is Mother's Day, right?
yeah.
So that especially on Mother's Day, back in 2020 in COVID, I did around like I think 50 wishes a day. So I recorded 50 messages. I started at 8 a.m. in the morning and I worked late until night, like 10, 11 p.m. And they was just constantly sending me requests, wish this mother, say this message. That day I made like I think around, I don't know, maybe around 10,000 something.
Yeah. 12,000, I think, something around that.
Yeah,
That's
somewhere around.
crazy, man. That's
So
a mind-blowing journey, man. That's so like you've gone on different ways in life, and then you started again, and then you've again lost it all, and then started again. It's crazy. Do you think that you feel do you feel at home in this industry? Do you feel like you found your place finally?
yes, yes. I would say I found my place. But now my bigger purpose, I would say, is to, so it's not just PR, I'm enjoying this journey. Like PR is great. I get to work with the people that I really wanted to.
Yeah.
I also have a family business, but that's like a traditional form of businesses. Um, Not the target audience I wanted to work with. So in this, I really work with top level people and I really enjoy, when you're working with such high level people who have such high intellect, you get to learn a lot, right? So that is great. I would say we have a good team now, around 15 to 20 individuals. And I would say we have reached a pretty successful phase. But this is, of course, not the end. I want to grow more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
I can see that.
that's a never ending process.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. And I also want to ask this to you that when you didn't have good placements at college, or you saw your peers getting safe and secure jobs and them doing that, and you feeling out of place possibly, and you facing the pressure of maybe the family or friends around you, something like that. Now you are certainly doing, I would say, better than most people of your batch, financially and prospectively.
Mhm,
How does that like, what advice do you have now for that younger version of you, which
mhm,
at that time to keep confidence on, or to keep believe in yourself? Because I think what happens in retrospect, like everyone just assumes things go well, right? But
right,
at that point, when you're struggling, when you're challenging, you only have like these sort of advices that you hear from somewhere which can keep you together.
mhm. Right. I would say my mindset and patience was the biggest thing that kept me going, through these difficult phases in life. So I failed from like from ever since I started college. Like I graduated in 2018 and then I saw some success in 2021. Right. So these 3 years were really, I would say, not the best. But I still learned a lot of things. I was, even though I was failing in different things, but failure is something that you need to eventually taste success, right? Failures are like stepping stones of it. And these days, I would say, people do not have much patience because everything
Yeah.
is available so quickly. Like with Zomato, Swiggy, you just order everything. It's available in the blink of an eye, right? So that's why people want things very quickly. So in my stage, I was very optimistic, I can say. I was always optimistic that I'm going to make it. Maybe not now, maybe not 3 years later, maybe 5 years later. I was sure that I'm going to make it. Maybe not in the music industry, maybe not in the tech startup. I know that things are going to work out, right? Because eventually I was developing my skill sets and I know how to leverage these things. So
Yeah.
every little things I did in my life, whether it was, let's say if I did, these events in my college, so that helped me build leadership qualities. So that did not go to waste. I run a team of 15 to 20 people now where I'm leveraging those leadership qualities and I'm able to lead them effectively. Let's say I failed in music industry. People might see it as failure, but when I initially started my PR firm, I sold those musicians that I was connected to on the PR thing,
Yeah.
right? So I leveraged that as well. And then in the tech startup, I was pitching to multiple investors when I had that tech startup. And now I go to those events and I'm learning about angel investing. So where I was pitching my startup, now I'm learning how to invest in other startups. So everything that I went through, I have made sure that I leverage it to the fully.
I think it's so like it's so poetic in your story that you've just stuck with the fundamentals. You've stuck with what you know is right, and you've been patient along the way, and that has worked wonders for you. And
Right.
sometimes it's just so simple. Sometimes it's just this. Working on your craft and just being patient.
Right.
But
It is simple.
once, yeah,
It's simple, but it is not easy. It's very simple, I
yeah.
would say. There's no rocket science to this. If you follow a successful, proven path, if you do exactly what I did, chances are that you will succeed as well. And what I'm doing is no, rocket science or nothing different. I just learn from other people who are doing great in the market. I learn one thing from one person, I learn another thing from another person, and I just try to, copy them in my own style. So there's nothing new that I'm doing. I won't say that I'm the most intellectual person, nothing like that. I'm a normal person, just like all of the people. I just, what I had different was the hunger, I would say. So I was very hungry about success. I just wanted it so bad. That's why I got it, I would say.
Hmm. And do you remember any anecdotal incidents in your experience as a PR industry expert now? What
Mhm.
incidents do you feel are you the most proudest outside of the Kiyosaki one? Like, what do you feel, as an achievement of, like, I was able to pull this off? Like, this client asked for this much reach, or maybe something like that, and you pulled that off, and you felt like a validation. Okay, now I'm finally here.
Um, so we have one client from United Kingdom, and he's been working with us for almost 4 years now. So ever since we started working with him, initially he had some sort of negative press as well. Like, some things did not went right, and he was portrayed negatively in the media, right? So ever since working with him at that stage where he was negatively portrayed in the media, to now working with him, now he's the topmost guy in the property training industry in the United Kingdom. So we have really transformed his image, in the last 4 years. Now he constantly gets featured in top media outlets. There's no media outlet that has not featured him. And then he constantly gets requests from this media to feature him. He has been on top podcasts. He runs his biggest YouTube channel. He has done podcasts with Andrew Tate. He's
Wow.
he's seen with the television. He's seen on television very frequently. He has done television shows as well. So I think that's, like, these 4 years we really transformed his entire image, and that has boosted his business so well. I think his business has almost 10x in the last 4 years just because of this PR thing.
And it's funny you mentioned the Andrew Tate thing, because I think I would like to know this from an expert again, PR expert. How much, because I can't possibly for the life of me believe that a person like Andrew Tate, who's, just so, just has affluence. Now, I don't want to get into the political side of things, but I just feel that guy certainly knows what he's doing. He
Mhm.
purposefully says things which are so on the horizon and spectrum, which gets him traction, which get him views, and people are just buying into that incel mentality, which is, if it works for you, works for you. He's all about self improvement. I give
Right.
that to him. But I think people fail to understand, like, he's not that dumb to believe like constantly what he says. I just feel that's the case, and he portrays a very good PR side.
Mhm. Right. I don't follow him a lot, but I've heard a few reels, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, he's like, sometimes I just feel to get a reaction, you have to say things which are at the broad end of the spectrums. If you're sitting in a meeting and you see this behavior, like, it's evolutionary psychology.
Mhm.
The child cries to get attention.
Mhm.
It's that metric. You have to be exclamatory in regard to catch attention of a crowd, of a mob. And I think with social media, again, this you can't shout. Okay, so you have to create content which is like somewhat radical in nature to get that initial push of people getting to talk about you, or just drive that engagement.
Right, right, right. I think he is like to the face, so he's very straightforward with whatever he says.
Yeah, yeah, I think I don't think he personally, like, believes everything he says. I personally feel like there is a side, like, he knows, he's smart enough to know what sells on the internet. But I want to ask you this, like, how does a person who, let's say, has a mini business, or let's say, a young entrepreneur, someone who is trying out their hand at content, how
Mhm.
do they grow first organically? Like, what are some things in your experience, maybe SEO, maybe good,
Mhm.
engagement metrics that you've observed?
Mhm.
What do they do to get that correct first, and what is the correct time to start thinking about hiring a PR agency?
Mhm. Right. I would say initially when you're starting out in the content world, first of all, you need to own the social media assets that you have, and you need to start building your presence on the social media assets. Right. First, you decide which platform you want to go forward with. where your target audience hangs around. Okay, like you could start with LinkedIn if you are working with mostly business owners in the B2B market. LinkedIn is a good platform. Let's say if you work with more on the like B2C side, consumer side, then Instagram would be good for you. So decide on one platform that you want to move forward with and start focusing your energy on that. Okay, so put out more pieces of content, I would say. And I would say initially when you're starting out, most people have a lot of block inside their head,
Yeah.
right? They can't just make it, it's so difficult. Like they're just not getting the perfect video, the perfect write-up. I would say that the first dozens or maybe even 100 pieces of content that you're putting out, you just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's just the foundational things that you're building, right? Let's say if I've started to do podcasts as of now. I've done like around 4 podcasts. I was as of today. I would say that maybe this is not the best version that I want to be, but I'm still doing this because I have eventually go to this process to reach
Yeah.
this stage in my life. So just focus on being consistent and putting out content. Okay. And the first pieces of content, I would say, if you're just starting out, you could create content around who you are. This is more of a like personal statements that you have, what you maybe like eating, what books do you read, things like these. Then you can create content around professional, like what your business is about. Let's say you are into digital marketing, you could create content around that. Okay. So personal content, professional content, and then you can create something which is value based, educational content. Okay, that can be specific to a specific industry, or you can just go broad as well. So whatever things you're learning in life, you could start creating content around that. So who you are, what you do, and then how you can help others, I would say, is the three important pillars to be seen as an authority and to start curating content. And as you build these things, you can keep optimizing what's working out, what's not working out, study those metrics, and then pivot accordingly.
And what's your take on, what's the right time to hire a PR agency?
I would say first you own your social media assets first. So start building a base on social media. Once you have once you have a good base on social media, let's say you have built an audience, then you would hire a PR agency. Because when we work with people, we want to work with people who already are good in their own things. Okay. Because if I have to pitch to a podcast, let's say, I have to pitch to you maybe, or another podcaster, if I have pitched to you, a television journalist, a reporter,
Yeah.
what do I show them? I would show them your social media profile, right? And if that is not presentable, like there are less
Yeah.
chances that they would pick you up, right? I'm
Yeah.
sure you vet all of the people that you work with. You look at their
Yeah.
social media, you look them up on Google maybe,
Definitely. Yeah. I think that's an initial screening done by me always.
right?
Whenever we have a guest on the show.
Mm.
And I also sometimes feel I have now started to implement very strict qualification processes um, for the podcast in general, because I feel
Mhm.
like you can only start compromising on quality so much.
Right.
Once you start going down that route, there is no stopping, because then you can't incrementally the viewing experience, incrementally the consumption experience degrades, and that is
Mm.
where you lose the consumer. That is where you lose anyone who possibly started listening to the show or started interacting or engaging with your content.
Exactly.
Incremental degradation is like just super detrimental.
It should only be upgradation, I would say.
Yeah,
Or at
exactly. I think
least
you
you should be
should,
able to maintain.
yeah, be more stringent, I think. And it's good advice for starting out, I guess, to just be as broad as you can. But once you
Mhm.
know what you're doing, once you know what you want to deliver, because I think that is also a question which sometimes is not thought about as much. Like,
Mhm.
what are you trying to, what is something that you wish to create, what is something that you want to give to the audiences, instead
Exactly.
of what do they like. I think that is also where a creative has to kind of draw the line and understand, okay, what is my USP to which this audience has subscribed to.
Right. Exactly. You need to constantly, like see what's working out, what people are liking more. And
Yeah.
then eventually I would say, you start attracting more of those people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I think I remember, like, have been like less instances of this, but more or less now I see it's very convenient and the tools are very easy to get started on this. Like you can approach a celebrity or cold DM them on Instagram or on a cold email or get any handle that works for you. And then you can try to have a conversation with their team. And
Mhm.
it becomes easier because, and you being an expert, you answer this, that do you
Mhm.
think that celebrities or just people of social profiles,
Mhm.
are they realizing the value or just the change in content that is happening, like in terms of traditional media, conventional media, maybe
Mhm.
first page advertisement was biggest than all of YouTube combined, but
Mhm.
now the situation has changed. So do you think the people at the top who are like heavily paying these PR agencies, are they
Mhm.
also trying to be on the new age content?
Yes, yes, 100%. Like podcasts are growing these a lot, right? Pod
Yeah.
or everything is moving digital. Like nobody reads newspapers anymore. Nobody opens TV anymore, right? So of course, these people now are smart enough to know where their target audience is, and they're trying to be where people are, having that attention.
Yeah. And can you give me, just to round this episode off, can you give me some, crazy number for the audience or which I can use as a clickbait, uh, related to money in the PR agency? So can you just blow my mind away with the fact, okay, this is how much is paid for an advertisement or a billboard or something like that? Because I have no clue on how much do you have to pay to get featured on a billboard or
Uh-huh.
on Forbes 30 under 30 or something like that.
I would say the biggest campaign that I have closed till date was around $25,400. That was the biggest one I did.
Damn, man, that's how much money I got. I think you'll have to
Around,
multiply that
that's
with
around
80.
21 lakhs maybe.
Damn, that's crazy. And that you closed in one, like that was one
One
engagement.
one single deal, paid upfront. Like in India, I would say, like people think 100 times to even send 50,000 rupees.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true, man. Even Paytm on you, I think that's a good feature though. But I recently observed, like if you're on a call and you're trying to UPI someone money, then
Yeah.
Paytm tells you you are trying to transfer this much money on that account and you're on a call. And India has very stringent rules on even spending like 100 rupees, and they'll quality check it for 1,000 times and then see, okay, no. And I think sometimes I find this poor, like bad on the part of salesmen in India. Like
Mhm.
Indian customers go to a showroom and then try every freaking thing out on that showpiece and end up buying nothing. And you just go, my heart goes out to the guy who's just been sitting there all afternoon doing this.
Right. And I would like to mention that this deal was only possible because I had a personal brand.
Hmm.
If I had not been on podcasts, if I had not been on television, doing speaking engagements, print magazines, things like these, if I did not have a personal brand, like that person would have not trusted me. Because so I was, working on myself. I was walking the talk. That's why that person trusted me. If he can do it for himself, if he can do it for other top 1% people, that's how he trusted me and, eventually made a bet on me. So you need to have a personal brand if you want to close big deals like these, if you want to work with premium client segment. So start building a personal brand, I would say.
Awesome way to end the episode, Sahil. Thank you so much for your time and just the wisdom you've imparted in this episode. I am actually very interested about this industry now because I have never personally delved into it. And you are possibly the first person who's been on the show who's talked about this. So another new universe opens up for so many more conversations. But thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thank you so
Love
much.
talking to you.
Thank you so much to you as well, Ribudaman, for having me. And I'm glad to be on your show. And I hope I have had some words of wisdom to share.
You definitely did, brother. Thank you.